What's up guys, Lifting here. This is a Champion or Juggernaut Warchief Totem build guide. This build works great as a league starter and it is somewhat budget friendly, at least to get going. In this video I will show off some gameplay, talk about the strengths and weaknesses of the build and share tips on how to get it rolling as easy as possible. For the actual details of the build, make sure to check the forum build guide link below in the description. So first, let's talk defenses. Now, the final build has 200% increased maximum life via the skill tree. This should, with good gear and high enough levels, amount to about 6,000 to 6,500 life late game. On top of that, the build gets a ton of armor, uses a lightning coil, a blasphemy enfeeble setup, and it is just inherently tankier by being a totem focused character, as that often leads to monsters attacking the totems instead of the character itself. I've tested the build in tier 15 maps, and while the actual boss fights can be somewhat slow, they're definitely manageable and the clear speed outside of bosses is pretty good. The way Warchief Totems work is that you scale the damage of the totems based on your equipped weapon, similar to how Siege Ballista Totems or ranged attack totems interact with bows. So in this case you will want a good axe with high physical damage and a decent attack speed. That said, the build can be played as a mace-based character or a sword-based character instead if you prefer. The tooltip DPS for my current 6-linked Warchief setup using a Hesmana's Bloodlust Axe is around 37,000. That said, you do not in any way need a 6-link for this to work. A 4-link will, with decent gear, carry you all the way into mid-tier maps, and a 5-link will be able to clear red maps as long as the rest of the gear is decent. So, as I mentioned in the intro of the video, this build can be played as both the Champion or the Juggernaut, and make sure to check the forum build guide to see which one is the right choice for you. The build you see in this video is a duelist Champion. Alright, so now that you have the basic build mechanics introduced, let's talk about some of the challenges or problems you may encounter while playing this type of build. First of all, you may find yourself in need of extra intelligence and dexterity in order to level up your skill gems, and since you aren't close to any of the 30 plus notables of either type, you will need to get some of these attributes on your gear. Secondly, since I recommend using an Abyss's helmet, you will have to make up for the extra physical damage you take. To do this, I recommend using both a Basalt and Granite Flask, together with the regular 2 Seething Divine Life Flask of Staunching and a Quicksilver or Silver Flask. Furthermore, while it shouldn't be necessary, a Lightning Coil chest armor is very effective in dealing with the downsides of using the Abysses, and getting this chest will just make you significantly tankier. Getting one of those can of course be a little expensive, and you will have to deal with getting extra lightning resistances of course, so keep that in mind. Also, I think single target could be slightly better for the build, but it's in no way any issue at all. When all is said and done, it is a fairly easy build to get going, and none of the unique items are required to get into mapping. It's also fairly easy to level. You simply need to get a good two-handed weapon and use it with Sunder, added fire damage and faster attacks until level 28, when you can then start to use the totem as a supplement to your Sunder attack skill. Around level 37-40, you can grab Ancestral Bond and start relying on using the totems alone. And I will leave a link in the description of the video so that you can see where to obtain each skill gem, support gem, and whether or not you can get it via the vendors or if you have to trade for one. If you have to trade, you go to poe.trade and then search for the name of the skill gem there. None of the skill gems should cost more than an alchemy orb, unless they have a certain amount of quality to them. But don't worry about getting skill gems in the beginning with quality, you can always do that later if you can't afford it. And as I mentioned earlier, for weapon I'd recommend getting yourself a Hesmana's Bloodlust Axe. Not only does it deal a good amount of damage, but it also gives any attack the blood magic buff, meaning that instead of costing mana, any attack or summoning your totem, since it is considered an attack skill, will instead be fueled of your life, thus preventing you from having any mana issues at all. Other than that, you need to prioritize getting life and elemental resistances on all of your rare equipments. As for the skill tree, I will post some progression trees so you can see in which order you're supposed to pick up your skill nodes and ascendancy points, and I'll post that in the forum post. Furthermore, I will of course link all of my gear that my character is currently using in the forum post, so if you're confused, simply try to get some gear that is similar to mine. The build really is fairly budget friendly to get going. You do not need the 6-link, you do not need the abysses, and you do not need a lightning coil, and it will still perform very well. It is just those items I recommend if you can afford it for later. And that's it guys, I hope this serves to get you started with the build. Check the forum guide for details, subscribe for more Path of Exile, and make sure to check out my IRL vlogging channel. Thank you for watching, and bros, do you even nerd? It's 10 o'clock in the evening, and I'm gonna have my birthday meal now. Me is currently cooking it. Let me show you how it looks out here. So we're having these potatoes here. Oven